Welcome everyone to episode 11 of the Circle Back podcast, the show where two great friends get together and just talk about games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy.
Hello.
And Dan, we're going to start it off like we always do. What have we been playing?
All right, let's do it.
I'm going to start. I'm going to say I talked about a game last week called Slay the Spire. I talked about it in pretty good detail. Card battling game where there's like some RPG mechanics, the roguelike, really good game. I actually beat the final boss in that game.
Oh, you got to the end?
Got to the end. Got to the top of the spire and beat it. I'm super happy with that game. I loved it the entire time I played it. I'm wondering if it's a little too short or if that's just because it's an early access.
Okay.
I'm kind of like, there's not one complaint I have about the game in the game itself.
Yeah, what you showed me looked awesome.
But I also played... It's hard to say with roguelikes especially if it's the length or not, because it really depends on how good you are at the game and stuff. Like it depends. If you have a really good run, then bam,
you're
all
just
of a
a
sudden
video game master, so...
Well, no, that's not true at all. But Slay the Spire, I love. It's incredible. A little bit short for me. I think I ended up with like 16 hours on my clock to beat the boss, which... totally fine, normal length of a game. It's just for roguelikes, I'm used to putting in a lot of time before I get to that final boss. So who knows? Maybe, I know there's a slot for a third class. There's only 2 classes so far. I know there's a slot for a third that says not available in early access. So we'll see. Maybe they add on a couple more floors or something. I think that would really round out the game nicely. But
what class did you beat it as?
I was the assassin. I think it's called the Silent.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I had like a really good poison deck. Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun. I don't.
It was a really cool game.
Yeah,
Definitely
I
worth
can't
checking
say
out,
enough good
Yeah.
stuff about that game. It's really, really good.
Definitely.
Another one I've been playing. So basically, I've been playing 3 games that came out this past week, the week of the 23rd or 26th or whatever.
Yeah, enlighten me. I want to hear.
I'm going to start with the big one that everybody's talking about, Monster Hunter World.
Okay.
Okay?
Lay it on me.
Picked up Monster Hunter World. I had never played a Monster Hunter game before. I have always heard good things about them, but that they're super obtuse. Me as somebody that you all know by now is fucking obsessed with Dark Souls, I was like, a lot of people make comparisons to Dark Souls. So I was hoping, I was like, all right, it seems like the gameplay is deliberate combat, like, you know, you got to pick your spots, dodge, like, it seems super Dark Souls-y. So I was like, let me pick this game up. And right off the bat, I really like the tone in this game.
Okay.
Like, it's super silly, like, lighthearted, just like a fun, it has a really good tone. It has, like a perfect example of, like, why the tone that I'm talking about is good is... if you're, you know, you have this little cat with you. It's called a palico. It's like a small cat that stands on its hind legs and runs around like a human. And it helps you out. It'll like heal you. It'll attack the monster, whatever. So if you're in a fight and you walk and you're like fighting a monster in like a lake or something, the palico will like get a little rowboat out and start like rowing because it's like doesn't want to get wet. You know what I mean? Like it's goofy in a super charming way. So I'm a big fan of that right off the bat. But something that turned me off immediately is the systems in this game. And the thing that's scary about it is people talk about Monster Hunter games, like past Monster Hunter games, about being super systems heavy and it's really complicated and yada yada. They're like, oh, Monster Hunter World, it's hugely streamlined. Like it's so much easier to get into. And you get into it and you're like,
no.
Like I understand it all. It's not like I don't get it. It's just so complicated for no reason. Like I don't know why they're holding on to all this old shit that they have, you know what I mean? Like I get they have their fans of the series that they don't want to upset, but it seems kind of silly, you know? They have this beautiful game with these beautiful graphics, fun to play, and they just won't let go of all these old things.
What's the whole premise of Monster Hunter? It's pretty much all just boss battles, right? You go, you fight...
Yeah, so, I'll give you a rundown of that. It's basically, you get thrown into... The way this game's set up, at least, you get thrown into... you're basically on a ship in the beginning, headed to the New World, right? I do want to talk about some, like, stuff with this game that I'm not a huge fan of.
Okay.
Like, it's weird politics. It's very strange. But before we get into that, you're basically on the ship to the New World, and, a big monster attacks in the water, You go flying, you land on this island, which is part of the new world. And the whole premise of the game is you have this like base, this like home base, which is basically like a Final Fantasy hub city, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like that's what it looks like. It's like there's vendors everywhere. You're walking around talking to people. It's really like beautifully laid out. I like the look of this game a lot. But the whole object is you get quests from your people at the base. It's like, all right, this monster is too close to our camp. We got to go kill it.
And that's pretty much...
That's the game. But there is a story that progresses through. To be honest, I'm not super far into it. I think I played like 6 or 7 hours so far.
But I guess you progress, you get stronger, you get new weapons, new items.
The main loop is you kill monsters and they drop parts, or if you chop off their tail, you get a unique part, or if you hit their, certain guys that have claws, you can hit the back of their heels and get their claws. Like, it's interesting like that. And the combat, I think, is good. I don't love it.
Okay.
I think there's, what, the thing about this game is, I think everything looks a lot cooler than it is fun to play.
Okay.
And that's not a bad thing.
I've seen video. It looks beautiful. It looks.
But everything you do, like I have this thing called the switch axe right now. I try to. Basically, you have an option of 14 different weapons, and right off the bat, you have all of them. Pick your weapon. So you can try them out in training grounds. You can go out and try them. I think some weapons are just super boring to play. But some I found interesting. I like the switch axe. It's like a sword and shield, and you can swing. And then at any time, you can basically connect your sword to the shield, and then it extends out like a giant axe,
That's pretty
like
cool.
the sides of your shield are an axe. Really cool. But the thing about it is there's something. When I talk about why I like Dark Souls, it's not because. Like, this game has more in the way of, it has actual combos.
Okay.
So it has, like, if you do circle, circle, square, you have, like, a cool combo that looks good. If you do, like, hold circle and forward, you'll do a different move. You know what I mean? Like, it has all these different moves, like, almost like a mini fighting game moveset. But it doesn't have the strategy layer that I like in Dark Souls, where it's like, I have to pick my spots very carefully.
Yeah, it's much more strategic.
Well, this game is much less strategic, where it's like,
I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Dark Souls but I'm strategic. Like, it's more complex, I guess, the fighting system, but it's not as rewarding for me. I don't really enjoy it as much because I think it's a lot of, you can just mash your way out, because you have all these healing potions, you have your Palico healing. And again, I'm super early, it might change, I don't know, but I'm just, from my experience so far, I like a lot of what it's doing, and the monster design is like incredible, like
every monster's
really
unique
fucking
and
cool.
different, and,
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of missions where you go after the same monster over and over, but yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so like, what's the end game though? You kill enough monsters and you...
See, I don't know where the story's going, so I don't
yeah.
know. The one thing I will say is it's really fucking weird that it's like, it seems like, so the issue that I run into personally, and this isn't like stopping me from playing the game, but it's like, we're killing these monsters because they're like an inconvenience, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, we're not like yes, we're using parts to get new armor and weapons, so it's not like useless, but it's like, we're literally like, hey, this guy's too close to camp, it's dangerous, we gotta get rid of him. Or like, hey, he's eating too many of this type of creature that we need, so let's kill him. Like, it's super weird, yeah.
It is
and I'm telling you,
it's actually very weird.
And the way that it does, like, the new world, and like, it's very like conquest-y, you know what I mean? Like,
very
I'm not a huge fan of like the nature of this game, but I don't know where it goes. I don't know if it spins out on its head or something, but as of right now, I like the game. I certainly don't love it like a lot of people do.
I wonder if it's going to have one of those like Shadow Colossus things where like you kill all these creatures and you're like, oh no, like they didn't do anything. Like, why'd I do this?
I would be very surprised if it did, but I'll check in next week after I played a little bit more and we'll see where I'm at with that.
Because when you tell me right now, it seems just sort of like, just go kill things. And it doesn't...
Yeah, well, if you think about most video games, that's how it works. But this one is kind of like you're hunting them.
Just...
And they're just kind of like going about their life. You know what I mean? Like,
I know that like would break my heart.
They're not like honestly, you can walk right up to a lot of these monsters and they won't attack you until you hit them.
That's gonna like break my heart.
Yeah. It's weird, but there's a lot to this game, and I barely dipped my toe in. It's 6 or 7 hours in, so I will definitely give it more of a fair shake. But I'm kind of like, eh. And like I said, with the way the game looks, it's like running up this hill and then jumping off and landing on top of the monster and mounting it and stabbing it is like really cool looking. But it doesn't feel like mechanically fun.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like it's a lot of like hack and slash type of stuff. And I've said I've talked in the past about how for me with third-person action games like this, there's a fine line. Like this is basically like a spectrum. It's like Dark Souls is super tactical. Can't mash shit or you're gonna get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you got to be smart, pick your spots. And then there's like Bayonetta, where it's like you have a ton of combos, super fast-paced. You're just attacking the whole time, like mashing them out. And I love both of those games, but some games that get lost in the middle, like for me, Final Fantasy 15, but you know what I mean, like that type of combat. I just am not a huge fan of. And for me, Monster Hunter is a little closer to the middle than it is to the Dark Souls side, personally. And I think the truth of it is, if a game is in that middle ground that I'm talking about, but it also has a really great story, or it also has a really interesting mechanic
that draws you into it.
It'll draw me in. It's like for Final Fantasy 15, I didn't dig it because it's in the middle, and I didn't like the story, so I was like, I'm not going to play this. I don't really like this game. But for The Witcher 3, kind of in the middle, but the story is one of the best stories I've ever played. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like you need a balance there, and right now Monster Hunter is like wavering between right now because I'm not sure where I'm going to end up.
Is there like a multiplayer aspect where you can play with other people?
There's a very robust multiplayer aspect, but it's super hard to understand and get into.
So you should be like the guy that like protects the monsters. You know what I mean? Like you do the multiplayer, but like you fight the humans.
You know, I don't know if that's how the same works. But no, what I alluded to earlier with the menu system is everything is in like super archaic menus. Like you have to go to this person to get the quest and then hit open new quest request and it'll pop up and it'll search for other players, and if no players are found you can go on your quest. It's like I wrap my head around it, but it shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard to get into, period. Like I get that there's some history there and they've streamlined a lot of shit from what I hear from other people, but for me it's like I'm enjoying this game so far, but I'm not huge on it. So after playing for a couple more weeks, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see where I'm at.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna dip into one more game that I've been playing so far before we go to you for yours. Another huge game came out on the same day as Monster Hunter World, Dragon Ball FighterZ. So
awesome.
This game, man, I've talked about many times. I do not really like fighting games, and it's because I don't give them enough time to get really good at them. Because I get too frustrated, like, getting beat all the time, you know? So, Dragon Ball, I was like, I wasn't going to get it first. I was waiting. I don't know. And a couple of my friends were playing, and I was like, I'm just going to buy this game. Like, because I love Dragon Ball from when I was younger. I haven't kept up with any of the newer stuff, but I was like, it just looks so good.
Yeah.
Like, the graphics in this game, the way it looks, and it just looks so much fun. So I was like, I got to do it. I got it. I did a bunch of training and stuff. I've been playing with friends, and this game is fucking awesome.
Awesome.
Really good. And the thing I like about it is, in fighting games, the huge barrier to entry for me has always been the combo systems, right? Mm. So you have, in Street Fighter, it's like, to actually do the moves, you need to, like, know all these different commands, you know what I mean? Like half circle back, this, boom, boom. And what Dragon Ball does, which is super smart, is it just streamlines that and makes it more about being strategic and picking your spots. So it feels like it's less complex in the actual combos. Like most abilities are quarter circle forward, circle, quarter circle forward, triangle, quarter circle forward, square, quarter circle back. Like that's the entirety of this combat system. And they create a combo system that's like, if you do 3 light attacks, which is square, or 5, like you can do a light attack combo, square, 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 square. That's a combo. Triangle, 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 combo. Circle, 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 combo. Square, triangle, circle, combo. Like no inputs
You have to,
on.
yeah.
And a lot of hardcore fighting game fans might look at that and be like,
Oh, no way.
But
yeah.
people seem to be really enjoying this on both ends of the spectrum because it has that strategy layer and it has the depth because you have 3 characters, much like a Marvel versus Capcom, and you can tag them in at any time.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But you can also just use them as an assist, just like Marvel. So it's like, instead of calling them in to like switch with the character that's in there, they could just jump in, do one move, and jump back out, doing an assist.
That's pretty cool. Okay.
So you can string together all these different combos. So like, if you're really good at fighting games and you play this game and you figure it out, it's like you can probably do like a 75% combo with like keeping people in the air and juggling them and doing all this stuff. But like if you're someone like me that's not good at fighting games, it's like I can be strategic enough to win some games by just blocking, punishing, pulling out some cool moves, doing a super, like charging up. Like there's a lot of depth in not so much the mechanical aspect of it, but the strategic aspect of it, and that's why I love this game. Not to mention it's like the coolest looking.
Like all the characters.
It literally looks like an episode of Dragon Ball. That's awesome. Incredible.
That's awesome. Who's your character? Who do you play as?
I'm still new enough that I'm not really picking guys. I've been playing a lot with Piccolo, and you pick a team of 3. So okay. I've been playing my 3 right now. I've been doing Piccolo, Captain Ginyu, and I've been switching back and forth. I play Trunks. Goku's super easy.
That's so. It's just so fun. Like, same sort of thing. I used to watch that when I was a kid, and like it looks absolutely awesome. But the one reservation that I have is, like, I suck at fighting games. Like, I'm not. And
I suck at fighting games too. But it teaches you in a really smart way if you play. So like in the beginning, you can do tutorials and stuff, but then you can also play the story mode, and they teach you a lot in the story mode. But even aside from that, like once you learn a couple things and you just understand that, like, instead of just mashing shit, take your time, back off, wait for an opening, do a nice combo. It feels really rewarding to do that. But yeah, this game's great. I have a huge fucking issue with it though. The online is absolutely terrible.
Oh, you think that'd be like the main?
No, but like the thing about this online like multiplayer system, which is every fighting game, that's the whole point of it, is to play online against other people, it's a lobby system. So you literally have little chibi versions of all these characters just walking around in a lobby with 64 other players, or 63 other players, and you basically have to, all right, I'm going to walk over to this guy to play an online match. I'm going to walk over to this guy to play story. Like, there's no menu option. Like, everything could just be a menu. So, like, that alone I don't hate, because it's like, all right, this is cool. Like, I got Yamcha in his baseball outfit. Like, that's funny. Like, that kind of shit. But it's like, the issue that I'm having is, like many fighting games, the servers are totally fucking broken right now. Like, I have a group of friends that we play with, and we'll all jump on, and sometimes it'll be like, you'll walk up, your friend will create a game, you walk up, hit X to like join, and it'll say no rooms found. So you're like, what the fuck? But then your other friend might be able to get in. And then the fourth one is like, oh, no rooms found, I can't play. But me and that other friend can play with each other. It's like, there's something weird with the online services right now. And I mean, obviously, first weekend happens with every fighting game always. But I would have really liked for them to have that ironed out. So hopefully within the next week or so, that's good. Because having the system set up like this means that, like, I just wish that I could do a private match, private lobby, bring all my friends in.
And just play.
We play. Like, that's all I want. But you have to go to the lobby, hope that it works. Like, you're doing all this crazy shit. It's like, it's very frustrating.
It's a pain in the butt.
But goddamn, that game is so much fun to play. Yeah,
is there like a story mode kind of thing going on?
Yeah, there is a story mode, and it's like a full story, like canonical, like whatever. But it's kind of silly.
And most
Like
story.
it's not
games,
really
most fighting
great.
games.
Yeah, it's not really a great story so far from what I've played. But it opens with fucking Bulma saying, "Goku, what are you doing? Wake up!" And you wake up, and you're like, "Who's Goku?" And he has amnesia. It's like, yeah, right. But yeah, I like this game a lot. The variety in characters and their movesets is really interesting. It leads a lot of cool stuff. I've been playing a lot of Krillin lately, and he has this thing where he like throws out a copy of himself, like an after image, and he throws it out, and he always like jumps the other guy, and you can either stay in your previous body and just see this guy jump over, or you can swap to him. So like if I send out like a fake Krillin, you don't know if I'm going to swap to him and be behind you all of a sudden, or if I'm going to stay on this side. So it's like leaving the opponent guessing, and he's like, shit, do I turn around and get ready to fight? And then he's like thinking about that too much, and you can go in.
That's
for a combo.
awesome.
It's really cool.
Sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say that it's super unique mechanics for each guy. I mean, there's definitely some sameness, like everyone, fucking does kamehameha, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to happen. But I do like that they differentiated characters for the most part. And another thing I really like about this game is every character has X as a projectile attack.
Okay.
So, like, no input. If you just hit X, it's a projectile. Every single character, from what I know of. They all have projectile on X. And if you do a quarter circle forward X, you do a more powerful kamehameha, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just really smart the way they set it up for beginners, because it's much more inviting than most games.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I'd be intrigued to...
Because it's not even that they tutorialize it well. It's not even about that, because I played fighting games. Like, I got into Killer Instinct a little bit for Xbox One. And they have incredible tutorial systems that are like showing you different combos with each character, explaining to you like how to do footsies and stuff. Like they know how to explain fighting games to you. But if I'm not good at doing the combos, I'm still not good at that game. You know what I mean? Like I may know exactly what to do. Like I can be a coach or something. I can't fucking play the game because I'm not good at it. But with this, it's like you can be good at it, even if you don't know.
If you say so.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like if you understand like strategy, like I said, if all you have to know is, hey, hit square, triangle, circle, or hit square, 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 or hit triangle, triangle, triangle.
Yeah, it's so much
you know what I mean? It's like it just takes that layer of complexity and erases it, but it leaves in the strategic and actual like proper way of playing a fighting game.
Because I don't think I've ever won a fighting game in my life, whether it be Street Fighter or Tekken. Like I don't think I've ever. So
yeah, I really, really highly recommend this game. Anybody that plays fighting games is already playing this, I'm sure. But if you're not and you have any interest in it, it's
good.
It's a very good.
That's
game.
cool, man.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I know you've been playing one game primarily.
Yeah, no, I have not had a very productive gaming week.
It's all right.
But, things happen. Life happens. But
we're all human.
I've been playing Eco. I think I was saying I was going to try it out last week. I don't know if it was on the podcast or we were just chatting, but I said, I love Shadow of the Colossus, I love Last Guardian, I never played Eco, so why don't I give it a shot? Man, I love it. It might be my favorite out of the three. And you know how much I love Shadow of the Colossus.
You're an insane person.
It's so good.
It is very good.
It's so good. And the reason why I love it...
You don't get frustrated at all?
It is frustrating when the enemies are coming out, and there's like 18 of them, and they keep... So the whole story is... my friend.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So the whole story is, you're this boy named Eco, and you have horns. And in your village, everybody fears people with horns, so they banish you to like this castle. And you're trapped in this castle. Through a turn of events, you kind of break free, and you meet this girl named Yorda, who's also trapped in this castle. And you free her, and it's both of your missions to get out of this castle together, and you're going to help Yorda get out of this castle. In the meantime, you find out all these things, that Yorda's mom is actually the queen of the castle, and she wants to use Yorda's body or whatever to be younger, all that stuff, and you're trying to escape, and all these shadow guards like come after you and trying to stop you. Bottom line is, you're trying to both get out of the castle. And I don't know, there's something about it where like the way that you get out of the castle, you have to solve all these puzzles, and you have to fight these enemies. But like, there's just something. The way to bring Yorda to safety is you gotta like go and like grab her hand, and you gotta like bring her to like the door. It's just very, very sweet.
No, it is.
It's got this sort of like, I don't know. I always think I don't know why I can't place it. I'm always thinking like, it reminds me of like a cartoon I once saw where like there's this young kid, right, and like I think it was a kid. I forget the name of it, but it was a kid and his mom, right, and obviously the mom is protecting the son, but this kid's like 5. And like he's just like, I got you, mom. I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna protect you. And like it just Eiko's got that same sort of like.
No, I totally get that. It's an excellent game. I would never like disparage that at all. I just think in the time I liked it a lot more than when I replayed it.
Okay.
For the remastered, when they came out on PS3, because it kind of has some tough issues with. A little bit with control and a little bit with a little frustrating as like a handholdy kind of like what do you call it, like I'm drawing a blank on the type of escort mission.
Okay,
it's like escort mission the game. That's the game. So it's like a lot of
mission.
times it's like you got to be careful where you're leaving her because of this and that.
Yeah, because the enemies will come out.
They'll come out and get her, and it's an awesome game, and it's. Like any of these, Shadow of the Colossus, Last Guardian, it's like they all have that same tone,
right?
And they're all like super. I love all those games, so I'm not like I love Eco, but
like I said, I know what you're saying with the controls and everything. It is a pain in the butt where you're trying to solve a puzzle, and then you look to your side, and like some shadow monster's got your like she's sinking down the hole, and you're just like, oh crap! And you gotta go run back and you save her, and then you go back to do your mission. And then another shadow monster comes and gets her. It is hard, and the controls are tough too.
They're tough.
Like trying to hit a monster, and you can't get it.
No, I know. There's so much good in that game.
There's just something about it, in the same way that there's something about Shadow of the Colossus or The Last Guardian. It's like it's so weird. I was trying to explain it to my sister. It's like there's something like you can't I can't even like find the words. There's just something like very like visceral. There's something very like. There's like a very beautiful like human element to it. I'm not trying to sound pretentious or like a poet or whatever, but like there's something like there's something about like those 3 games where like you just sort of like it just touches you in a way because like it's a very human. You just gotta go like something about holding hands. Just like everything's gonna be okay.
Game about holding hands.
About holding hands. No, it's beautiful though because in most games, right, you just hack and slash and. No, I'm just going to hold your hand. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, no, it is a really good game. I love Eco.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're playing.
And the whole time I just play the Beatles, I want to hold your hand while I'm playing it, and it's beautiful.
It goes really well.
It's so good.
Yeah, tonally.
So good, yeah. Mwah, mwah. Bellissimo. But I love it.
Yeah, no, it's a great game. I have also been playing a great game.
I'm very excited.
This is the third of the 3 that I got last week. It's a game called Celeste. And I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of it. But it is one of the most interesting, best platformers I've played in a very long time. It's by, I think the studio is Matt Makes Games.
Bryce guy did Towerfall, right?
Yeah. The guy that did Towerfall, he basically made this game where it looks similar to Towerfall, and you have the air dash in a similar way to Towerfall, but the difference is this is a 2D side-scrolling platformer, whereas the Towerfall is more of like a couch multiplayer, competitive game. Let me just find out the name of the studio. Celeste.
Well, you showed me too.
Matt Thornton is the guy's name. Matt Makes Games. Okay, good. I got it right. Yeah, this guy Matt Thornton, he had a little more collaboration on this one, but for the most part, he's a very small studio. He does most of the stuff by himself. But this game is the basic shtick of it is you're this girl named Madeline, and you are at the foot of this mountain, and you basically are on a quest to climb the mountain. You don't really know why. You don't know what's going on. It's just like, I'm going to climb this mountain, right? So you're going through, you're platforming. It's basically, you have an air dash, and you can wall jump, and you can grab and climb walls for a certain amount. There's like an invisible stamina meter when you're holding onto walls, right? So that is all the specific controls of the game. But what happens is in each level, they turn that on its head a little bit. So on the first level, it's like, all right, there are these like weird stoplight things that you hold on to, and right when you grab them, they start moving across the screen really fast. And they get to an end of their track, and they stop short. So you can use those as momentum.
Okay.
So you're holding on, and when it hits the end, you let go, and you're flying up, and you can grab on, you know? So you're using all these different things that are moving across. That's like the shtick of the first level. But another example of it is in the second or third level, there's these black blocks that have like, it looks like they have like constellations in them, and you can dash through them, but you'll maintain the angle that you entered on, right? So if you need to get up here, there's a black block here. If you come in on an angle like this, you'll shoot right through and go out the top.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
If you come in on an angle like this, you go straight. You know, it'll continue your angle. So it has a lot of cool, interesting ideas like that. And so far from where I played, I'm on level 4 right now. They never stay around long enough to get tired. These mechanics, they're like
they just progress. I guess they just build up. You just
They pretty much first level you learn that mechanic, gone.
Oh, okay.
Level,
so it's not like
this.
by the 5th level you have.
No, and a lot of levels have multiple small mechanics like that. And I like that they don't build on each other. They probably will at the end, I would guess.
Yeah.
But I like that they're not building each time because you're never getting tired of a certain type. You know?
Okay, yeah.
They're really getting in. Be like, wow, that was really cool. I want more. You know, I'd rather want more and not get it than get too much. You know what I mean? So, but the thing that makes this game really special, I think, and again, I'm early. I don't know exactly where this goes, but right at the end of the first level, you basically have this thing happen to Madeline where she's sleeping and she has a dream about something, blah blah. But she picks up a payphone that's on the mountain and she calls. And she talks to her mom. She's like, "Hey, Mom." And her mom's like, "Hey, honey, how's it going?" She's like, I don't know why I'm here." And she's like, "Oh, are you having another panic attack? Like, just breathe. Like, it's like so you can tell that Madeline definitely has some issues. And you don't really know what's going on. It's kind of mysterious. I'm assuming, obviously, by the end you will. But it's just really interesting. It's really endearing. Like, it is telling a really good, like, personal story throughout this platformer, which I think is really
awesome.
Cool. Doesn't happen too often in a platformer.
That actually really intrigues me. Like Celeste,
it's very good.
I'm gonna go home and buy it. Yeah,
it's super fucking hard. It's like Super Meat Boy levels of dying. Like it has a death counter all the time, and I'm over 1,000 deaths already because I'm constantly. There are these collectible strawberries with wings, pretty much, that are in some screens. Like, you know, each time you get to the next screen, there's like, all right, I need to get to here. Here's the screen. Boom, get there. All right, I'm on the next screen.
But you want to the strawberries.
But there's a strawberry in some of the screens that's like, you know, hard to get. And the game, literally after the first level, it says, the strawberries don't do anything, so if you don't want to get them, don't get them. You know, they're there for, like, they're basically making a hard mode without making a hard mode.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I like the way they did it. So I'm being a crazy person and getting every single strawberry. But there's also 2 other types of collectibles, and they're much harder to find. There's one called B-Sides, where super hidden in the level, there will be this cassette tape, like floating, like spinning. And to get to it, it's always the same type of platforming that's not anywhere else in the game, where it's like there are some pink blocks and some blue blocks.
Okay.
And they cycle between all the blue blocks are active, and then all the pink blocks are active. And then the blue blocks are active, so you're like jumping on the pink, and then last second jumping to get on the blue, you know what I mean? Like you're doing that kind of stuff. When you get the B side, it unlocks basically a harder version, like much harder version of the level you just beat. So it's like all new puzzles, all new different stuff.
But same mechanic, like the same sort
yeah,
of...
exactly. It would use that same mechanic
to get through the...
But it's much harder, and they remix the music. The music is incredible in this
cool,
game.
okay.
So in all the B-sides, the music's remixed. The levels are much harder. So that's the main like extra collectible other than the strawberries. But then there's another collectible that is super fucking obscure. And I found one on my own at first, and then I was like, I gotta search for all these now because it was so cool. They're called, I think, like Crystal Hearts or something. But they basically are like incredibly obscure, hard to find collectibles that they kind of hint that they do something if you get them all.
Okay.
Like they might open up an extra level or an extra mode or something.
That's all of them throughout the game.
Yeah, there's one in each world, though. So there's going to be, I don't know how many, there might be 6 or 8 worlds, I don't remember. But there's one in each, and I've gotten 3 so far. So I'm getting there.
That's awesome. I'm going to go home and download.
But they are really hard to get, like really obscure. Like there was this, I'm not gonna spoil everything, but I'm going to give you one example. When you advance a screen, it does like a NES style like scroll, you know what I mean? Like Mario, old school Mario, where it's like goes from here to this.
Oh,
you're right. No, so but what I thought of was I saw like a ledge up high, like it's impossible to get there. But then I did this. I jumped up on an angle, and I realized that I regained my dash, moving on to the next screen. So I jumped like this, dashed. Then when the screen moved over, I could dash back this way.
Oh, that's
And I was like
sick.
climbing without hitting anything. And that's the only way to get up to get that one crystal heart.
So like that was all just like a fluke too. Like if you didn't.
So the thing is, I figured that out on level 2, which is where that was. I just like tried it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder if that's anything. Like I just figured it out. But then on the 3rd level, you have to have learned that to get this key to open the front door of the level.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like you're
cool.
stuck at this part, and you're how the fuck do I get that key? You're going to figure out this mechanic, and then you're going to say, oh, remember that high up ledge? I'm going to go back.
That's
like
cool.
It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely love this game. I love everything about it. I love the story, music, the art style is amazing. The other characters other than Madeline that you meet along the way are really cool and interesting.
I gotta check this game out. This is the one that you.
This is a game.
This is enticing me. Yeah, definitely.
And I really do like this game. Will be there at the end of the year when we're talking.
That's
about
what
game of the year.
That's what
like I'm telling you, this game is that good. It's up there, man. And
would you get on Switch?
I have it on PS4, but it is available on Switch as well.
I'll probably get it on.
I heard they're both great versions. So.
Yeah.
It's also on PC, maybe? I don't know. But
expensive? Is it like a
$30,
$40 game?
$20.
Oh, not bad. Okay.
Yeah, $15-$20. Highly
I gotta check this out. I think
this game's excellent.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I think that's the last one for me. I don't know if you have anything else, but
no, I've actually had a very I've had a dry spell.
All right, so that's it for what we've been playing. We're gonna jump into our main topic for today. It's a sad one, everyone. We're talking about moments in video games that make us sad. Some tear jerkers. So we're going to basically spoil the shit out of all these games. And we're going to go through specific moments, talk about, like, are you going to cry, Dan?
I'm trying to get
I feel like you're forcing tears.
I'm trying to get tears to come out. Make it look real.
You're a real pro, Dan. But... All right, we're basically going to go through games that have made us tear up, get emotional, like anything like that. We're just going to go through, have some fun with it, revisiting the moments. So first one that came to mind for me when we were doing this is Journey. Journey was a really weird experience for me because... Are you all right?
It's so sad.
Journey was super weird for me because you're playing... It's twofold in the emotional way because one part of it is the person that like is in the game with you.
Right.
That's a huge part of what makes this game emotional because if something happens to them or something. Like the first time I was playing this game, the one person came in with me after like a half hour and they were with me for like almost the entire game. But right near the end, they got like taken by one of those like monster things, and I just kept going because I was like, oh no, they're gone. And it was like super emotional. I was like, that was my buddy.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? And I was like looking back, is he there still? He's not there. I was like, no, like I didn't know what to do. So it's that. But the main part of why I put this on here is because there was something about, and I mean, it's intentional, obviously. Like, this game is about, like,
you're on a journey,
death and your journey and whatever. But when you're climbing that mountain at the end with the snow part, and you have to like get behind those things, and you're going super slow. Like when I finally got to the peak of that mountain, like I was like bawling. It was weird. I like didn't, because there was nothing like it actually like said on the screen. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was no dialogue telling you that
like
this
emotional,
is sad, but there was something about it that was just like, oh my god, like it just fucking.
And like there's no words, and that's what's also I think is so special about it. It's
all the game is incredible. I mean, there's no denying that. But I just. It hit me, man. I didn't even know why at the time. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I crying? This is so weird. But I don't know if you had a
no, I love Journey, and I had no idea that was like the multiplayer. I thought that was when I first played, because it's a short game, because it's probably about like 2 hours.
Me too. I had the same thing. I think what you're saying.
I thought it was part of the game.
You thought it was just like an AI character.
And then you find out that it's like somebody else also playing the game.
Because after the game, it tells you their name.
Yeah, so that means that like I was that for someone else, and like every time you play. And it's
really cool.
And there are just so many moments, like not even just tearjerkers, just so many moments where like you're either just like in awe or just like, oh my god, what am I playing? But by the end too, like that's how it feels. It just feels like, wow, that was an event, and now it's over. And that's also kind of sad, where it's just like that it's over.
Yeah, no, it's that this game is like the epitome of this tearjerker for me personally, because it just hit me for no, like I was like, what? Going on, man.
It's so beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. The next grouping of games.
Well, yeah,
we spoke a little bit about Eco, but we're going to talk about Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, and Last Guardian. I think they're all games that are super emotional, and they do it in a way that I really appreciate, where it's not too like exploitative of your,
right.
You know, it's not like pulling strings on your emotions like some of these might be. It does it in like kind of a like throughout the game, throughout Shadow of the Colossus, like you just have this super somber feeling where you're like,
hey, am I doing the right thing?
And it's so like dark and gloomy, and you're the only human being. Like it's like you're just the whole time you're like, what am I doing? Like why am I? You know what I mean? It really does that. It has that feeling for you. And then the part that's especially rough is with your horse at the end.
God, what was his name? Aggro?
Yeah.
Aggro. I gotta say, what gets me about Shadow of the Colossus, and what I was trying to say before too, like it has like that visceral, like human thing about it. Mm. There are times playing that game, and I can't even name how many times I've played through this game, where you just like you have like that self-loathing sort of like, you know, you meet one of these colossi, and they're not doing anything; they're just hanging, right? And they got those sad eyes, and first off, it's a pain in the butt to just fight these guys and to get on top of them. I don't know if you do the same thing, but part of me, the gamer in me, is like, yes, I did it, and you're just stabbing away. Yep. You're just like, yes, next level, next level, next level.
All of a sudden,
and then you're like,
done, and you're like, oh god.
You're like, that was a disgusting feeling. Yeah. That was a disgusting feeling where I was just like, I gotta do this. You know, stab the head, and then you're like, oh, that was really crappy. That's a disgusting human trait.
And they do a great job of exposing that in yourself. It's great.
You know?
But that's what that game does well. That's what's so interesting.
I'll never forget the first time I played that game. And it's the first Colossi, the first boss. And you stab the head, and the goo is just coming out of his head, and he's just like...
Yep.
And I was like, what the hell am I playing? This is too weird. And I think it's the second or the third... one of the four-legged colossi. And like I thought of my dog, and I was just like, oh no, like it's just terrible. It's just
they know exactly what they're doing, and they do it well because it's done in such a way that it's like some people probably play that game and are like,
no, that guy,
they're like, yeah, I killed all those bastards. No. You know what I mean? Like, don't even think about it. But it's like they do such a good job of just keeping it on the base level where it's like, you know, you're feeling shitty about it, but you want to keep playing anyway.
This is a disgusting human feeling. I want to kill these things, but like I shouldn't be. Like,
and then in the same vein, and you know, obviously another Team Eco game, The Last Guardian, is super fucking emotional, man. That game, when you go to the part where you're on top of the castle, and the Guardian is basically getting torn to pieces by the other ones, and you're like sitting there trying desperately to like figure out like how to save him and stuff. Oh my god, it's terrible. And when he finally gets off and flies back, and he's like, you know, wobbling in the sky, like man.
Like even like the end, he brings you back to your village, and the villagers are freaked out, so they're like, attacking him. And then this is how the game goes. He just goes, "I told him to go," and that was the end of our story. And just like, what the hell? And then credits, and you're just like,
so good, man. I love it.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, that game's awesome.
Well, then should I spoil? Like even like
spoil anything?
Like,
we said it.
So then at the end, after the yeah, it's true. After the credits, right? He's much older. He has all the tattoos, and he holds up a shield, right? And then you go to like it's like a 10-minute cutscene of this beautiful scenery, and you head back to where like it all started, and you see like 2 pairs of like guardians, and you're just like, is that Trico? Like, is Trico alive? And is he okay? And I don't know. Again, they master that sort of like that visceral like. This is my buddy. We just met, and like I'm gonna take care of you, and you're gonna take care of me. And when crap happens, you're just like, no, you can't get hurt. Like and he goes the same way.
And
where it's just like,
but you nailed it because it definitely gives you that like vulnerability.
Yeah.
Where like sometimes you feel like this ultimate badass, and sometimes you're just like, wait, something bad can actually happen. You're like, wait, this isn't supposed to happen like this. You know what I mean? It's really.
I think when it comes to developer, I mean, we've talked about how all these games, the controls can be wonky and just atrocious, but
dude, go on.
The quality of these games and the world that it creates, and really with no dialogue, just
unrivaled.
Just those feelings. Like talk about video games as 100%. Art. Again, not trying to be pretentious, but like talk about video games as art. But like,
no, I know
these are masterpieces. All 3 of them. I'd say.
I agree. I hear a lot of good things about Shadow of the Colossus Remastered. The reviews are coming out. People are saying controls are better.
Oh, I can't wait.
Exactly what we were hoping for, Dan.
I can't wait. I'm going to freaking have that disgusting human feeling again.
Yep.
Where it's just like, oh, I got to kill this thing. And then you just...
It makes it so good, man.
Ugh. Being a human sucks.
Well, it's also pretty good, though. All right. Another one on the list.
Yeah, it has its perks.
Another one on the list is Telltale's Walking Dead. So this game, Season 1 specifically, this game has a couple of specific moments that got me real bad. Because throughout this game, it is just dire.
Yeah.
Like, everything is going wrong. You never know, like, who's going to live, who's going to die. Like, it's terrible, shitty world to be in. And the first one that got me bad was... when Kenny and Katya's son gets bit.
Oh, with the kid.
What's his name? Duck?
Ducky, yeah.
When Duck gets bit, and you can see that it's not going well, they do such a good job from the point he gets bit to what happens in the end, and we'll talk about it. It goes through so many different things because they're on the train or the bus. What were they on? The motor or the RV or something?
Well, they had like a camper at first.
Yeah, I think they were in the RV, and Clem is looking at Duck, and he's like looking pretty rough, and all of a sudden he like gets up and goes for her. Right, that's what happens.
She doesn't tell. Right, she doesn't.
But it doesn't happen. It was a dream or something. But so you're like, oh shit, he's becoming a zombie. He's gonna get us, and then boom, it was a dream, and you're like, all right, good, it didn't happen. Then you get to the spot, you stop. You're on a train at that point. You stop on the train, or maybe you get there and you're leaving on a train. I think that's it. And you get there, and Katya is there with Duck, and everyone kind of sees that he's not doing well. Oh. Like he's getting near the end, and so she's like, I just want to be with him, yada yada. So she goes out, and she's sitting like under a tree with Duck, and basically the decision has to be made where she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, we can't let, this is my son. He's not doing well, blah, blah, blah. So what ends up happening is Katya kills herself instead of killing Duck. And so she's dead next to him. And he is now, like, starting to come back as a zombie. And Kenny, his freaking dad, and the woman's husband is standing there, like, crying, like, doesn't know what to do, and now you have to actually physically Either let Kenny take care of it if you're a fucking monster, or you got to shoot Duck in the head and get rid of him. And it was, that was rough, man. That one definitely got me. Because that scene is, like, masterfully done. Like, they do a really good job with that.
There's also the scene, I think this is right game earlier in 2, where you got to pick between the two kids, right? Isn't there the scene where you're in the...
Are you talking about, like, on the farm?
On the farm, yeah. Where you got to...
See, there's stuff like that, but what I'm saying is, like, the whole time it's like, like, wrenching decisions. Like, there's tough stuff, and it sucks. But when you get down to, like, real emotional moments, it's like, that moment with Duck is way up there, and then the final moments of the game.
Oh, of course, at the ending where Clem has to...
Yeah, when Lee is chained up.
And he's going to turn.
And he's going to turn, and he knows he's going to turn, and he's trying to... That whole scene with Clem just crying, like, don't go, like, oh my God.
And Lee's like, no, you got to do this.
And he's, like, reminding her, he's like, remember, you're going to be tough. Like, that whole thing.
Oh my...
It's rough, man.
All right, can we stop talking about this?
Well, this is the whole segment.
Jesus Christ.
So no. That one especially, that one got me bad. That ending is rough, but super well done, and I love the way it cuts off, and you don't see her do it, but it's like she either did it or she left him. You don't know, but either way, she's in rough shape, Clem. But yeah, that one's
That's
way
great.
up there.
I'm telling you, those games. I mean, talk about storytelling. Like really, Telltale knows.
Telltale, yeah. Walking Dead season 1 especially is like, that's way up there. Another one that definitely got me pretty good, and one part in particular is Red Dead Redemption. I'm talking about the ending.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know, with when John Marston just gets fucking killed, and you're like, what the fuck?
Well, the whole thing is, right?
The whole thing with
he's working for the government to get rid of his old bandit crew.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like, they kind of turn on him and they're like, well, you're the last of the bandit crew, so we're going to have to kill you. And he knows it, and he's going to say goodbye to his wife and kid. And he's just like, get out of here.
And the whole time you're thinking, you're like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Nope.
Well, you finally get, that's what's so cool. So the whole time, right, you're like, okay, I got to get to, I want to see my wife and son, and that's it. Well, you can't do this until you take care of this, and then finally, great, I get to go home. And then the whole...
That's the worst part about it, is they let you do all this stuff.
And then you get to go home.
And you're like, all right, time to go home.
Right, you get to even farm a little bit. You get to show your son how to shoot a gun, and you're just like, oh, this is so... Finally, John, like, good for you.
Oh.
And then you just see people riding in with guns, and you're just like... And they start shooting at you, and you got to say goodbye. I'm sorry, I stole your thunder, please.
No, that was it, man. That moment was super rough, because they did it perfectly as far as letting you go through all those things, and you get these feel good after all these hours of not seeing your family.
Hanging with my son.
Yeah, you're like, I haven't gotten to see my family this whole game. Yeah, that's a real special.
And then he tells them to go, and then you open the doors, and like they even give you a shot. You're you could shoot all these people, and then it still ends with him freaking.
So good.
Oh God.
But yeah, that one definitely brought a tear to the eye.
That was the worst.
One that definitely got me a lot is the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. I know you haven't played the Metal Gear games, but huge part of the game. The boss is like Snake's, big boss Snake. It's like his mentor, pretty much like mother figure. Like she's very like maternal, and at the end you have to fight her, and throughout the entire game it's like alluded to like, hey, if two people are fighting, like one lives, one dies. Like that's the whole point of the game. Like it goes on and on like that. It's a lot about death, this game. And so the boss, you do this fight with the boss. Neither of you really want to fight, but you have to. So you go, you fight, and right at the end, it's like you have her down, and there's a prompt like press X to shoot her in the head, pretty much, like take her out. And right when you do it, so it's super tough to hit that button after like all this stuff that's going on. So you do it, and you're in this big flower field of like beautiful like white flowers, like it's this awesome moment during this fight, and you do it, and it like a wave pulses out, and all the flowers turn red, and it's like just super rough, man. Like pressing that button like leading up to that was just so bad. But
what's the reason why you're fighting her? Because
well, it's a whole complicated thing. You think she's a double agent, she basically in the end she turned out to have purposefully pretended to be a double agent so that she could die in that moment because it's the only way that everything would go the way as planned, pretty much. But yeah, that ending is a really fucking good ending. Another 3 game, third in the trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
Definitely. So there are a couple moments in Mass Effect 3 because, you're saying goodbye to everybody and it's like the end of, the fight is at the Citadel, like the whole thing. But the one moment for me...
Oh, yeah, when you got to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's rough, no doubt. The one moment for me especially was with Mordin, when Mordin cures the genophage at the end, or at the end of his life, because he dies right after. He kind of like goes down with the ship as he's curing genophage, and that moment I just remember him, being like, I have to do it, like, this whole thing, and he's singing. And
he starts singing, like...
Yeah.
What was the whole thing? Didn't he create the genophage?
Yeah. It was a whole thing where the Solarians purposefully created the genophage because they're mortal enemies
with the Krogans.
The Krogans, and they had to cut them out, and it made them all sterile, right? So, it was a super well told story throughout the trilogy, and then to end it like that was just really like rough seeing Mordin like that.
Yeah. And then so many people died. Like Thane. Thane was super cool.
Yeah, there was a ton of different stuff like that. For me, for whatever reason, it was like
Mordin was the yeah.
But
that ending though, when you got to go, like Garrus is my dude, and like having to go and hey, it's been an honor working with you. You got to sit. You go around saying goodbye to everybody because like this is it. And also just because you spend so much time with these games, and you develop this time with these characters, and then for that to be like, all right. This is it, because like it's it in the game, but then also it like you're like, oh crap, like
that's it for
this
me
is
playing.
it me playing, like unless I restart it. But
no, it's super good, and a lot of people had issues with the very end of that game. I didn't mind it so much, but I really like the way they wrapped up some of those characters. Definitely, I think definitely emotional moments.
But I'd say Mass Effect 3 is the weakest of the 3 games, but
I would agree.
I cried at the new game.
Yeah.
Andromeda, just because it came out.
Because it was so bad.
Just a little bit of tears, but...
all right, so I'm going to skip around a little bit. I want to go to Zelda.
Okay.
So Breath of the Wild, I would not say has a great story. I would say it does a lot of interesting things with callbacks to older games, but the mainline plot is like, whatever. Like that's certainly not going to do anything for this, what we're talking about here. But what got me in Breath of the Wild was the first time I got to the castle, I went up on like a side area. I didn't go through the front. So I like flew in from the side and went up some waterfalls and stuff. And music started playing. And that music, man, there's something about that specific version of that song that just like got me, man. I was talking to you before the podcast, like when I first saw Force Awakens.
He was weeping.
All right, we don't have to go too far here. But when I first saw Force Awakens, and I'm sitting in the movie theater, and the music starts, the crawl starts, there was something about like having a real Star Wars movie come back out for the first time in so many years that I was just like welling up, like I couldn't help it, and I got that same feeling from Zelda, and like
that's beautiful.
There was something about that moment with the music, man. I couldn't help it. It brought me back to so many different times playing in the past. It was really good.
You're adorable, man. That's so nice.
You watch your mouth. I'm tough. I don't cry.
I get that though. Listen, I felt the same way Blade Runner 2049 when they played at the end when they played the same freaking music really that they played at the end of the original Blade Runner, and I'm just sitting there just like. I showed my girlfriend that movie, and she liked it. But like, at the end, I'm still tearing when they play the Tears in the Rain music, and she's like, "What the hell, dude? Like, girl." I'm just like, "No, you don't understand." So I totally get it, brother. Funny. I really do. I totally get it.
I know your favorite, one of your favorites,
Majora's Mask. It's all tears for me because.
That game is super sad.
The whole game is based on sadness, and I'm sure I've talked about this game quite a lot and why I love it so much. But like, for those of you that don't know, the whole shtick is you only have pretty much 3 days to save this area called Termina, because after the end of 3 days, the moon's gonna crash and kill everybody, and you're all dead. So you kind of have to time travel, and you got to do these missions, and then by the end of the third day, go back, and everything you do sort of gets erased. And there's so many moments in that game. One in particular, probably my favorite quest. It's the couple's mask or the romance mask. I don't remember the name of it, but
yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
There's two people and they're in love, and one of them, his name is Cathay. He was cursed or something, where he was like made like 20 years younger or whatever, and his girlfriend doesn't recognize him, and all he wants is to like be with her because the world is gonna end, and you got to go through this whole, you get like 5 masks for that quest because you got to do all these different things, make sure you get here a certain area just so you can kind of get them to meet. And the way that it ends, where you see their story, where they finally meet up, and she realizes, oh my God, you're the love of my life, and and they're together, but the moon is crashing, and just that moment where they're together. Really, it's kind of like, you ever see the movie How to Find a Friend for the End of the World with Steve Carell and
I never saw it actually. No.
What's it? Keira Knightley, where it's that moment where it's just like, okay, we're together, but like this is it, and like it's just that very like, oh, that's so sad, but yet kind of beautiful in a way. And to me, that's Majora's Mask, because that for me the whole game has that sort of like melancholy like beauty to it. And same thing, another Zelda game I wanted to actually mention was Link's Awakening.
I know that's your jam too. That's
such a great game because this entire time, sort of like a Shadow of the Colossus, you're doing all this stuff because this moonfish or windfish, I forget the name, is telling you this is the only way to save this world. You have to do all these things, but then you find out at the end that this fish was actually a complete jerk and terrible. Like wants to take over everything, and everything that you did led to this world's destruction, and you're just like, damn it.
Yeah, no.
And again, a game like that in Shadow of the Colossus, where you do all this stuff thinking it's for the right reason,
and then you start
and then you're realize, like, oh crap, no, this was bad. So I definitely talk about the tears.
Definitely. We're gonna skip around a little bit because we're running a little over on time, but there are a few in here that I definitely want to touch on. I'll talk about the trilogy of the Supergiant games, Bastion, Transistor, Pyre. All 3 super emotional games. The endings, particularly in most of them, are very, very good and emotional. For me, a big one in Pyre is when you first get to the rites and that music kicks in, and that guy like sing like that song of the rites with the two of them, the woman and the man singing, is like super emotional. This is a great fucking moment. So I just remember getting to that and being like, holy shit, like, this is real. Transistor, the ending is incredible, like super tough. We don't need to get into too much detail on that, but basically your narrator, like your partner in crime, is your sword, and you realize that once you like destroy the system that you're trying to destroy the whole game, you also trapped that person in the sword, and so she ends up killing herself, like the main character, just so she could be with the person. But Bastion 2, excellent ending, especially, and a lot of moments in there were like super sad, like when certain characters die and stuff. But the ending where you're just leaving it all behind and stuff is really good. Definitely highly recommend those. I'll do a couple other quick hits.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfinished Swan, incredible, beautiful game, written literally to make you sad, pretty much. Like, it's this kid's mom died and she left him this storybook. Like it's really well done. Definitely some sad moments in there. Another game by those same guys, Giant Sparrow, Edith Finch, What Remains of Edith Finch.
Right.
Another one definitely designed for you to be sad.
Of course,
there's a lot. It's all about death, and some of them are pretty tragic. I think that's a good one. I want you to talk a little bit about To the Moon.
Oh, okay.
Because I never played this game. I've heard good things.
To the Moon is just all sad. Yeah. You know the gist of it?
Explain the short gist of it, but...
You're like, it's kind of very much Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in a way.
But it's like right before you die, right? That's the whole thing.
Well, so there's this guy, I want to say his name's Johnny. They're usually always named Johnny. But anyway, he's an old man and he's dying. And there's this team of researchers that what they can do is they can go to these people that are dying, that have lived regretful lives or whatever, and they can implant new memories so that you can die at peace, saying, "Oh, I lived, my life wonderfully." So you play as the two researchers that have this technology to do this, and you go to this house of this man who's dying, and his only wish was to go to the moon.
Right.
He wanted to be a NASA astronaut, and he wanted to go to the moon. So okay, no problem, easy peasy. Throughout the game, trying to kind of, I don't want to go too long-winded here, but throughout the game, you kind of learn his story and why he has all these regrets and stuff like that. And you find out that in this house, he lived there with his wife. I think her name was River, and they had a very, very unhappy marriage. And you find out all these like weird pieces. You think that River was like strange because you go into this one room and there's all these bunnies, and you find out all these like really interesting tidbits. Anyway, bottom line is this story you find out is they met when they were kids. The man that's dying and his wife who has already passed. And they met when they were kids at a carnival. They fell in love, and they made these promises to each other that they would go to the moon. They made this constellation. They made this promise that they would go to the moon. The man that's dying, Johnny, his brother dies, and his mom gives him like this medicine that'll help him forget about that, but also he forgets about her when he's taking these, I think like beta blockers or whatever. So by forgetting his brother, he also forgets meeting his wife. Anyway, they meet at school. She goes, "Oh my gosh, you're the guy that, we remember, years ago," and he doesn't remember her. And that's tragic, but they end up falling in love and getting married.
Wow.
But they have a very unhappy relationship because he can't remember anything. These beta blockers have messed up his memory, and she starts making these bunnies to be like, "Hey, like, look, they're the colors of the constellation we created." She cuts her hair. Remember, I used to look like this, kind of like all these like really, really, really sad things. Eventually she dies, and all he doesn't remember anything, but all he remembers is that he wants to go to the moon. And the whole thing is because when they were kids, they promised each other they would go.
In the end, does he realize that that's why?
At the end, they implant memories that, they met at NASA, and he eventually got to go to the moon with her. But it's really not about what he wants to... It's not even about, like... The whole shtick of the whole thing is just kind of like figuring out...
Of course.
And piecing out the story because he doesn't remember anything.
Right.
And you're getting all these weird, like, snapshots on all these pieces, and you're like, why did she cut her hair? Why did she, make all these rabbits? And you just find out that the whole time...
She's just trying to get him to remember.
She just wanted him to remember her.
That's rough.
And he can't. And even at the end, he doesn't, but they implant the memories But it's just very, very, like...
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah,
that definitely sounds like a tearjerker.
Like I said, just the whole fact that, like, he wants to go to the moon, you don't know why. And then when you piece it together, because... He doesn't remember why he wants to go to the moon.
He just knows that he wants to go.
But that's because when they were kids, they made a promise that they would.
Yeah.
And it's just it's one of those like again sort of that one of those human just like that's really really sad and nice and it's touching in a melancholy sort of way.
I'll touch on quickly Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, one of our favorite JRPGs. Lot of somber moments in there. It's about this little kid Oliver, right? It's Oliver.
Ollie, yeah.
Little kid. Mom dies
like in the first 5 minutes
right away, and he just has moments where he like misses her and stuff, and it's super sad. Yeah. There's a lot of good moments in that game.
When he's trying to save his mom, it's this whole
it's a great game. I would recommend playing it for sure. You can talk a little bit about Final Fantasy VI.
Oh my gosh, what's so cool about Final Fantasy VI? That's just all the characters, and every one of those characters has specific personalities. There's this one character, Cyan, and the evil villain of the game, Kefka, poisons this town, which ends up killing Cyan's wife and child. And there's this one level where you're fighting the ghost train, and like his family, like as ghosts, come back, and they're like, "Hey, we love you." And he's like, "I'll fight for you." Like that's sad. Celeste is a super like, tough. War hero, very much. I always picture like she's a snake, like just very like like she's just a badass pretty much. And she starts to have feelings for this guy Locke, who's also in your team, but at one point the world's destroyed and she attempts suicide, and that's mad depressing. And there's just so many moments. Every character
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
that-
like gets their due in that game where
Absolutely,
they
yeah.
have. That's why I think it's so relatable when you think they're just 16-bit sprites, but why, you get attached to them is just they have these fleshed out stories and why they're doing the things that they're doing, and it's just beautiful. Every character has.
Yeah, that game definitely has its moments, no doubt about it. We can talk a little bit about Gone Home.
Yeah.
Gone Home, incredibly emotional, and I love what this game does as far as pretending to be like a horror game.
Yeah.
And then in the end, you're like, oh my god, like you finally figure out that it's not a horror game, that it's just a miscommunication, and you get that last piece, and you think she might be dead upstairs, and you're like, oh my god, please don't be dead, please don't be dead. And you go up there, and she's not up there.
I know.
But she ran away.
I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah. Hey, seriously.
Yeah, but she ran away with, to be with
her love,
the
yeah.
girl she loves. But that is just like one of the most awesome endings. Like I really
And
like.
again, a short game too, kind of like Journey, where you it's
Yeah.
like a movie. It's like
absolutely,
you go from here to here to here,
Yeah.
right through the roof.
Yeah. And the ending especially was super emotional. It was great.
And then when the music comes in, you see like that picture of them holding hands, and you're just like,
Yeah, definitely. Another game by the same guys, Fulbright. The space station. What the hell is it? The space station game, Fulbright, Tacoma.
Oh, Tacoma. Okay.
Tacoma, same guys. Also super emotional. I love the end of that game. The story moments throughout, like when everyone thinks they're gonna die and stuff, like the little close and interpersonal moments are incredible. Definitely that one's up there on this list. What else? You talk a little bit about Earthbound. I know that's.
Oh,
that's one
I
of your
love
favorite
Earthbound.
games.
Earthbound is super silly, super tongue in cheek, super. It's meant to be a play on like Americana kind of eating
But then
hamburgers
when
and hot
when it
dogs.
gets real, it's real.
We have to, yeah, exactly. By the end, you're trying to, Gygus is this evil monster that these four kids have to stop, and towards the end, it's pretty much Ness, the character that you are, as you all know from Smash Brothers. He's kind of like left alone, and you're up against Gygus. And for me, the part that like just got me. Where I'll never forget, it was during the summer, I had the flu. And I just remember, like, all right, I'm going to play Earthbound, I'm going to beat Earthbound. And so I was playing it, and by the end, you're Ness, and you're fighting Gygus, and he's beating you to a pulp, and you're like at the end and you're like, crap, like, if I got to die, I got to go, there's no saves by this area that you're at. You start at the beginning, and no matter how far you get, like, when you die, you got to go back to the beginning. And it's a pain in the butt. It's an RPG where you just got to grind, so it really can be a pain in the butt. But you're at the end, and Gygus is beating you to a pulp, and you're like, crap, I've gotten so far. I fought all of his forms. Like, you're at the end, like, crap, now I got to do this from the beginning. But even just think about it now, it's like super, super emotional. You're fighting, and every hit you give to him, it goes to another cutscene of somebody that you've met along the way. Whether it's Paula, whether it's just, the Blues Brothers band that you met, or just anybody that you meet, and they all like start going like, "Hey, we're praying for you, Ness. Like we believe in you. Like we think you can do it," and that makes you stronger. And you hit Gygus again, another person that you met on your adventure. Hey, Ness, we believe in you. Like you can do it.
Yeah.
And you get stronger and you get stronger and stronger as it happens.
It really is.
And it really is. It's just absolutely beautiful. Just sort of like all these people you met on your way, and just having that sort of like. Love and support, you can overcome anything.
Absolutely.
It's the power of love.
A couple of quick ones because we've talked a lot about them in the past.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein New Colossus had some incredibly emotional moments,
Definitely.
tough moments, but we've talked plenty about that.
Yeah.
Near Automata, another one, a ton of really fucking real rough moments.
Yeah.
That game has like some real sadness. But the one that got me, like actually got me teared up is when it at the end, and I know I've talked about it before, but when you're fighting the credits at the end, and you keep dying, and then it's like, do you want help? And you say yes, and then the music swells up, and you're shooting from all these ships and stuff. It's incredible. It's such a good moment. Big one. I know you're a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. Braid.
Braid, definitely.
Yeah, Braid.
For a different reason, though. Braid not...
It's not quite in the same way, but it definitely gets you as like a gut punch more than tears.
Well, it's got that sort of like, if you're like in a relationship and then it ends and you're sad and you realize that like you were the cause of it and you're just like, oh shit.
Oh, it's rough.
It's
definitely rough. There's no denying. But it definitely
because it juxtaposes the the cartoony Mario-ness of it with the this is an actual serious like story kind of thing.
No, it's great, and that's when I think of comparisons for Celeste, which we talked about before. I think of Braid.
Yeah.
In comparisons, when I'm like interesting platforming mechanics and actually a really poignant story.
Yeah.
Super Metroid, one of our favorite games of all time, has that one big moment
at the end. That's it. Yeah. So the entire time you're Samus, and the whole I forget what this. The whole thing is that one of the Metroids like combined with you or something, or there's some sort of the Metroid was a part of you or something like that. There's some sort of connection between you and one of the Metroids.
Yeah, it was from a previous. You're talking about. Yeah, you saved this baby Metroid.
Right. Okay. Right.
In either Metroid or Metroid 2, I don't remember which. You like save this baby Metroid, and it like loves you, and you're like, no, like
get away,
and you leave. And then
by the end of the game, you're fighting Mother Brain. You're at the end, and same sort of thing like Earthbound, where you're getting beat to a pulp, and you're like, "Damn it! Like this is so hard. How am I supposed to beat this?" Yeah. And then the freaking Metroid that you saved pops in.
And prior to this, you're fighting Metroid.
Exactly.
Like they're all bad, and then this one pops in.
This Metroid sacrifices, their life to save you, and attacks Mother Brain, and gives you the strength to end up taking Mother Brain out, but.
Right.
Just that whole, like you said,
really good,
wow, I've been fighting the Metroids, and this one came to my rescue.
And saved me, yeah.
Very much Blade Runner.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that moment as well.
It's beautiful.
I think that's great.
It's so beautiful. Trying to explain that to people that haven't played it is tough, because they'll be like, oh, and it's just like, no, you don't understand. When you're in the moment,
when you
like,
get to that point and you've had so much go on, it's excellent.
Beautiful.
Big one, a lot of people I'm sure are thinking of is The Last of Us.
Of course.
Last of Us has a lot of really tough moments.
That's
a really dark game.
But
the opening scene we've talked about recently, really fucking engineered to be heart-wrenching. You know, it was right when the outbreak started. Joel is running in the streets with his daughter, trying to get to safety.
Yeah.
And they get to a checkpoint, and basically his daughter gets gunned down right in front of him, and he's holding her in his arms.
Like, this is like the first 20 minutes, too.
It's very opening of the game. It's rough, but it's really good. Definitely is a tearjerker.
Yeah.
But the one that got me bad was with when you're reading all the stuff. So there was a moment with, I forget the guy's name, but the dude that had the kid with him. Do you remember? You like basically partner up with them for a little bit.
David?
Not David.
No. What were their names?
I don't know. We don't need to remember.
When he dies, when the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Oh my gosh.
When the kid dies and there's that whole scene, it's tough. Another huge one is when you're reading all of. What's the guy's name? What's the guy from? Oh, no, I can't even think of that.
I don't even know.
Damn.
Oh, your brother?
I forget. No, the guy, it's just in letters. It's the guy from, what's the book, Moby Dick?
Oh, Melville.
Yeah, but what's the character's name?
Called me Ishmael. No.
Ishmael.
Ishmael, okay.
So Ishmael is, there's these letters from Ish that you find in this one area, and you're basically going through all these moments of it's like Ish's little diary, like he's writing and he's trying to help you out, and like he's trying to help people, but he's going through his experience, and that's rough at the end. Like it's really good. And then of course when Joel falls out and lands on the spike, and there's that whole moment where you're like, what the fuck, is he dead? And then you pop up and you're just Ellie with the bow in the winter, and you're like, he's dead. Like, that was such a good moment.
The one scene that gets me is when you find out that, I think David was his name, the guy with the beard.
Yeah.
And you find out he's such a creep.
Yeah.
And where Ellie's just like, she finally gets on top of him, she's just killing him, and then Joel comes in and like she just hugs him and starts crying. Like, to me that was like...
Oh, yeah. That game...
I was like,
Yeah. That game does a lot of that stuff really, really well. And then, the ending when Joel pops in and shoots the doctors and stuff, and you're like,
this is a little gratuitous, my friend.
But you feel that emotion when he's like, he has no thought in his head
That's
except
it
for
too. Like
saving
this
her,
is his daughter,
yeah,
and he's just.
It's very good. I that game does a lot of things really well.
Yeah, definitely.
And emotion is definitely up there.
100%.
Biggest one, in my opinion. So we'll talk quickly before we jump into that. Night in the Woods, another game from last year. We've talked a lot about.
Just
a lot of emotional moments in that.
All around. Again, that human visceral sort of.
Yeah, but the one that I always come back to for emotional moments in games is Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Right. So anyone that doesn't know, it's a very unique game. You're playing as two brothers, and you're controlling one of them with the right thumbstick, one of them with the left thumbstick, right? So the whole game, you're playing as the two, you're solving puzzles, you're doing this and that. You're going into these real dire situations, but you're getting your way out of it. And what happens is this, like, spider, you go into this place, and this, like, spider lady, like, basically bites, snatches up the one brother, wraps him up, like, it's this whole thing, and he ends up dying.
Yeah.
And it's terrible, and the other kid is just like crying, like so upset, and he doesn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, you realize like you're only controlling one with one thumbstick now, and he's like swimming. You have to like swim through this area.
And you just have before, it was boop, boop, boop,
yeah.
And now it's just.
And it feels so weird, like only using that one hand after all this time. It's like it really like makes you feel like you really lost something, and. It was just so sad to see the kid, like...
You gotta bury him. And
you bury him. It's rough, man.
Oh.
That game, that part especially, is real rough. But it does it well. It does a good job. It does it well.
No, it does exactly
but
what
it's definitely rough.
Man,
all these games on this list that we talked about are super rough.
Yeah.
But I always go back to Brothers when we're talking about emotional.
That's definitely... That's one of them.
Yeah. But... Anyway, I think on that beautiful note...
Yeah, I'm just going to go in your bathroom and cry for half an hour if you don't mind.
Yeah, please do. Bathroom's a great place to
I think so.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching as always.
And just don't be afraid to let in your sensitive side.
And Dan is a very sensitive boy.
I'm a very sensitive boy. It's okay.
But thank you, Shelby, as always.
Shelby is the man.
I love you.
Seriously.
That's it.
Thank you for watching.
What's up, guys? It's Dan from Circle Back. I'm just here to let you know you can find everything that we do at circlebackgaming.com. If you just want the podcast, we're on iTunes. If you just want the video, we're on YouTube. So catch us either place. Thanks.